Okay, back with you on the Bronx Buzz. I am having fun today. I'm in my element with my music and my people, and now I really am with my people. Let's say good evening to Felix Arocho, who's the director of the Hostos Center for the Arts and Culture. Nice to see you, Felix.
Nice to see you, Gary.
And if I have to introduce Joe Conzo Jr., the hip hop photographer, the EMS guy who's just one of our heroes to people in the Bronx at this point, it's a shame. But it is Joe Conzo Jr. Nice to have you. Nice to see you. I remember the last time you were here, we talked to your pop, which was a lot of fun. That was good.
Yes.
Anyway,
How you
how are you?
doing?
You okay? Joe, you good?
I'm doing good, thank you.
Great. Felix, I attended, you know that I attended, Joe knows that I attended the Born in the Bronx, the beginning of the global hip hop culture exhibit at the Hostos Community College. That is just fantastic. I'll explain why I liked it, but tell me all about it. What's the deal?
This is a great opportunity for educating the students here at the college, here in the South Bronx, about the beginnings of hip hop. And who else but Joe Conzo Jr., who was there at its birth. And I believe the New York Times called Joe, the photographer that was at the baby pictures of hip hop. I'm
He took them
paraphrasing.
all. What do you mean the baby pictures? He took them all.
Exactly. So he took them all, and we had wanted to do a hip hop exhibit, and Joe Conzo, came through wonderfully along with his co-curator Johan Kugelberg, and it's an opportunity to learn about the beginnings of how the youth here in the South Bronx came together during struggle during that period in the '70s when they turned the culture around. They also invested in fashion, in memorabilia, in records, and in the sound of this new sound that became a global phenomena. So it all started here in the South Bronx. Hostos Community College is in the South Bronx, is an anchor institution in the South
You
Bronx,
had to do it.
and we had to do it.
But I want to emphasize what you mentioned because I think it's so important. Yes, we know the music. I mean, I've interviewed DJ Cool Herc, and he told me that moment when he said, "I think I got something," which is kind of incredible. But which you portrayed perfectly was the culture. Is that it was larger. It was a new way of looking. It was a new look at clothes. It was a new style of dancing. Uh, Graffiti art. I mean, there's 100 things that happen. And I'll just give you an aside, kind of the news journalist aside. Last week, we did an interview with a journalist who talked about the South Bronx economy doing better, and they credited the resiliency of the communities in the South Bronx. And a lot of that is because they redefined their lives, they redefined their music, they redefined the culture. And when you do that and everybody's on board, 50 years later, we're still talking about it. Right? I mean, am I taking the interview away, Felix? I mean,
No,
No,
no.
no,
this is what we got to talk about, right?
I agree. It was a transformation. No, it was a transformation of poetry, music, fashion, this expression of life and struggle. And from vinyl records, from handmade flyers, like you said, graffiti, breakdancing, DJing, everything was to showcase the diversity of these elements of hip hop and really how they shaped the Bronx and the entire world. And Joe Conzo was there.
And Joe was there. So a couple of questions for you, Joe. When you were taking these photographs, which you were doing because it was your community, and like, wow, this is pretty cool. I think I'm just making the judgment. Did you say this even think this is going to get large or this is going to get larger, or was it just like, wow, this is happening? So I'm the photographer. I'll take the pictures.
Gary, I had no idea. Honestly, I was a budding young photographer who
At
fell
what
in.
age? At what age?
I picked up the camera at a young age of 11, 12 years old. I have a
Wow.
report card that says Joe is excelling in photography.
Uh-huh.
But again, I had no idea. I was just taking pictures of the elements around me. Um, my high school schoolmates invited me one night up to take pictures of this group that they were putting together. and the rest is history. My archives that presently sit in Cornell University are some of the earliest images of the culture of hip hop.
And so it just became that. Now, I would love to get your perspective on this. Who I can't remember who was it that said it to me, but now I do know, and I'm not going to say it out loud who it was, but they said we got the celebrations of the 50th anniversary, and I realized there was that event in Cortona Park, and I was there, and that was us doing our thing, but they said the rest of the world is going to go away afterwards. Now we're going to get the museum. We know that on the Harlem River over there. We know all about that. Are you concerned that this was kind of one of those American capitalist celebrations, and we in the Bronx will keep it going because that's who we are, and the rest of the world will say, "Oh, okay."
Listen, the culture changed many, many years ago when the big record companies got involved.
Uh,
Okay, because during my time as a young teenager, it wasn't about a record deal. It wasn't about the bling or anything like that. It was about the next jam, next Friday night, next Saturday night, next park jam, next high school jam. That's what it's about. So, yeah, it's been bastardized, so to speak, if that's even a word.
yes,
And after this year, America will probably, well, corporate America will probably move on to the next
move
thing.
on to the next thing. Yeah.
But the people in the Bronx,
No, no, absolutely.
we're good. We
Oh
celebrate
yeah, right. I
every year.
I totally get that. And you're mentioning the record companies that came in, and that's what changed it. Around the world, people think there are people, obviously, it could be races, you can call it whatever you want, think it's like some negative thing. But all of the people I have met who were originators in hip hop, um, did it for togetherness, did it for peace, did it for dancing together, did it for all the right values. And then once those record companies came in and other people came in with other values, they forgot who we are in the
But
Bronx,
that's
right?
true of any genre of
Yes,
music. And if you're talking about genre of music, my dad, Joe Conzo Sr., used to tell me stories how Tito Puente is more famous in Europe than he is here in the States.
right.
John Coltrane, all these legends moved to Europe because they're more appreciated over there. And that term, the ugly American, we discard everything that's old because we're always looking for something new.
Right.
And like
But
my
you
family,
you gotta go in the other direction because the Beatles took American music and came here. Yes, they were appreciated in England. We get that. But here's where it exploded, of course. So that's
yeah,
kind of the opposite. Anyway, Felix, just back to the event. So or to this exhibit. How's it been received over there?
Fantastic. We
I
had a
love it.
we
Go
had a
ahead.
great opening, and thank you so much for being there. Great opening. We had over 200 people that night, and every day we get visitors coming into the art gallery, signing up,
from
giving us
all over the world.
from all over the world. There was some
Amazing.
Japan just a couple of weeks ago who even asked Joe to meet in person, and Joe was very kind to come to the gallery and meet with this person. That's how connected Joe is to this. So we have a great response to this. The college community has responded excellently to this. The outside community as well. Our residents, the neighborhood around us, and also the schools.
Oh, I'm happy to hear that.
We are getting school groups who are coming to the shows. For instance, the South Bronx High School. There was another request by the Mott Haven Academy to bring their students here. So we are in the process of doing guided tours and bringing these students to learn about.
I got to tell you, Felix, my heart almost skipped a beat there because the beauty of music, the beauty of Bronx music, is that it's just so much larger than just playing records. And for young people who didn't live through it or didn't grow up through it and didn't understand it, they can get an education about history, about culture, about their neighborhoods. And so many of them come from other places. And, what is this very complicated place called the Bronx? And this is how they learn. So when you told me that school groups are coming through, I'm all for it. So this goes till.
I want to say something
Yes,
quick,
please
Barry.
do.
One
Of
of the
course.
first schools that wanted to bring their students was the South Bronx High School.
Okay.
And they made a point to say, this is the school that Joe
Oh,
attended.
My old alma mater.
Now, Joe,
So happy about that.
how old? We could do the math on the 50 years, but how old were you when you started taking some of these
No,
archival
I'm not
photos?
afraid or ashamed to say I'm 60 years old.
Okay.
So I started my journey into photographing the culture at about 16, 17 years old when I met
So that's
Easy
high school.
high school. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Wow.
when I went to school with two of the pioneers of the culture, Easy AD and Tony Tone of the Cold Crush Brothers.
Oh, really? That's great.
And they invited me to take pictures of this group that they were forming, and the rest is history.
Do you still take pictures actively? If I recall, when we were at Lincoln Center for Bobby Sanabria's West
Yes,
Side
I still
Story,
take pictures.
so do you take pictures all the time, or just of special events? Or
I always have a camera with me. So
there you
whether
go.
I'm not at a special event or I'm going to a special event, I have a camera. Over the summer, I'm the official photographer for LL Cool J and Rock the Bells Festival. So I shot that.
Great, great.
I just shot my dad's
And
business
listen,
card at Hostos.
Joe is a 9/11 hero. Is a former EMS guy, and so you're the full package. We're so thrilled that you were with us, Felix. Let's wrap it up. So the thing goes till Wednesday the 20th, and the admission charge is exorbitant.
It's free.
It's
Free admission. How exorbitant can you get?
What I loved, aside from just being there, and obviously I've been doing this here on BronxNet for 30 years, seeing some of my old friends, and not all only people in music, but hanging out with Tat's crew. I haven't seen them in a while, and a lot of the other people there's a
And
brotherhood,
Gary,
a sisterhood. I mean, it's
Gary.
what it's about.
At the opening event,
Yeah.
young and old.
Yes, and I saw
From across the
parents.
spectrum.
I saw parents with their kids, and
Yes, true.
that's
That's
what.
true.
That's what. Listen, Joe Conzo, thank you so much. You know how we feel, and Felix, yeah, I feel the same way. That's it. We're all
Thank
part of it.
you.
We're
We
all
feel the
trying
same
to
way
do.
with you, Gary. Thank you.
Hostos Community College, born in the Bronx, the beginning of global hip hop culture. Stop by, learn, love, and be it. That's what we do. So that's it. Thank you so much to Darren from WFUV. I got to do a music show. Woo! So if the curtain don't fall and the creek don't rise, yes, I will be back. We will be back next week. And I'll have the different background. We'll put the Bronx back up there. Good night.